Hello, guys. Welcome you all to the Insights into Books podcast. Let's start today's discussion, folks.
It's great to be here. And we have quite a topic to get into today. It's one of those books that really you can't avoid if you're talking about relationships in popular culture.
We really do. You know, I was thinking about this, and I want to start with a feeling. A feeling I'm pretty sure every single person listening has had. You're sitting there with your partner, maybe a friend, and you're talking. You think you're speaking perfect English, but you might as well be talking to a brick wall.
Or worse, you feel like you're speaking English and they're hearing, I don't know, Klingon. It's like the signals are just completely crossed.
Exactly. That's it. It's that moment where you say something like, I'm fine, and you're boiling inside, but they just nod and say, okay, great, and turn back to the TV.
Oh, the classic, I'm fine. A minefield.
A total minefield. Or, on the flip side, they go completely silent. And your brain it spirals. You think, oh my God, it's over. What did I do wrong? When in reality, they're probably just wondering if they should get synthetic or conventional oil at their next oil change.
It is the great universal frustration, isn't it? That fundamental disconnect. And that feeling of, why don't you get me, is the exact reason the book we're talking about today wasn't just a book. It was a phenomenon.
We are, of course, talking about the one, the only, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus by John Gray.
The big one. A book that's definitely seen its share of criticism in recent years, but you can't deny its impact.
You really can't. And I know it's easy to kind of roll your eyes at the title now. It's been parodied into oblivion. But you have to look at the numbers. This book spent 121 weeks on the bestseller list.
That's what, over 2 years? That is just incredible staying power.
And it sold 15 million copies.
Yeah.
It was the highest ranked nonfiction book of the entire 1990s. You just don't get that kind of success with, cheap stereotypes. Something in it had to be ringing true for millions of people.
Absolutely. What John Gray tapped into wasn't just another Battle of the Sexes book. He was offering a manual, a translation guide for why we misunderstand each other.
So the mission for our deep dive today isn't to say all men are like this or all women are like that.
Not at all. It's to decode what Gray calls selective amnesia.
Selective amnesia. That sounds clinical. What does he mean by that?
Well, it's clinical in the world of the book, for sure. This is the core metaphor, the foundation of the whole thing, and it's what most people who only know the title miss. The Mars and Venus thing isn't just a gimmick.
It's an origin story.
It's a full-blown origin story, a myth.
Okay, so let's get into the lore, because I think you're right. People know the catchphrase, but not the story behind it.
So the myth goes like this. A long, long time ago, men literally, in this story, lived on Mars, and women lived on Venus. They were completely separate societies. Different values, different languages, different ways of coping. They were, for all intents and purposes, different species.
And one day,
the Martians, they're looking through their telescopes and they see the Venusians and they're intrigued. They feel this magnetic pull.
the first intergalactic dating app.
You could say that. So they invent space travel, they fly over to Venus, and they fall in love. But this next part is the most important piece of the entire puzzle. For a long time, it was a golden age. They were incredibly happy together. And the reason they were happy was because they knew they were different, and they respected it.
They didn't try to change each other.
No, not at all. The Martians saw that the Venusians needed to talk and connect, and they thought, okay, that's what Venusians do. And the Venusians saw that Martians needed to, go off on their own and achieve things, and they thought, that's just how Martians are. They celebrated the differences.
So it was a kind of a cultural exchange program that worked. So where did it all go wrong? How did we end up in the modern kitchen arguing over how to properly load a dishwasher?
Well, the story goes they decided to move. They flew to Earth together. And something about the atmosphere on Earth was, toxic. It affected their memories.
Okay.
They all woke up the next morning with this selective amnesia.
And what did they forget?
They forgot they were from different planets. They forgot they were supposed to be different.
And that's the root of it, the expectation that we should all be the same.
That is the entire thesis of the book. Gray argues that almost every single relationship conflict stems from this one mistaken belief. The expectation of sameness. A woman gets upset, and she expects her male partner to react the way a woman would. A man gets stressed, and he expects his female partner to react the way a man would.
That reframing is it's kind of powerful.
Yeah.
Because it takes the blame out of it.
It does.
It's not that your partner's being malicious or difficult on purpose. It's that they are, in this metaphor, running a completely different operating system.
Exactly. You're trying to run Mac software on a Windows PC. Of course it's going to crash. You're going to get error messages and the blue screen of death until you install a translator.
I love that. So let's look at the source code for these two operating systems.
Yeah.
What are the fundamental psychological differences? The core values of a Martian versus a Venusian.
It all boils down to how they define their sense of self, their self-worth. This is the deep, deep programming.
Yep.
So on Mars, the highest values are things like power, competency, efficiency, and achievement.
So I achieve, therefore I am. It sounds very results-oriented.
Very. A Martian defines himself through his ability to get results, to solve problems, to be effective, and this is critical, he feels best when he achieves those results alone.
Why alone? That seems counterintuitive. Wouldn't teamwork be more efficient?
Not for the Martian's sense of self-worth. On Mars, asking for help is a sign of weakness. It implies you weren't competent enough to handle it yourself.
So if I have to ask you for help opening a pickle jar,
Then you have failed as a pickle jar opener. It's a small but real blow to the ego.
got it. So that's the Martian Prime Directive. Be competent and do it yourself. What's the code on Venus?
On Venus, the values are almost a mirror image. They value love, communication, beauty, and relationships.
I connect, therefore I am.
You've got it. A Venusian defines her sense of self not through her solo achievements, but through the quality of her relationships and the depth of her feelings. For her, sharing a problem isn't a weakness, it's an act of trust. It's how you build intimacy.
So you can already see the collision course right there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it sets the stage for probably the most famous concept from the book, the one everyone's heard of, the cave versus the talk.
The man cave, a term that is now, a literal room in a house with a big screen TV.
Right, with a neon beer sign and a dartboard. But in the book, it's not a place, it's a state of mind. A psychological retreat.
Okay, let's break this down because I think this is where, a typical Tuesday night argument really kicks off. What sends a man into the cave?
Stress. It's a stress response mechanism. When a Martian is under pressure, from work, from finances, whatever, his instinct is to withdraw. He retreats into his mental cave. He gets quiet, distant, singularly focused.
I think everyone recognizes this. The one-word answers, the 1,000-yard stare. You ask, what are you thinking about? And the answer is always
Nothing.
nothing, every time.
But the why here is so important. He's not doing it to be cold. He's not stonewalling you to punish you. He's going in there to solve the problem. Remember his core value, competence. He needs to figure it out by himself to feel capable again.
Talking about it before he has a solution feels like admitting failure.
It does. He needs to go into the workshop, tinker with the problem, and come out with a finished product, a solution. He doesn't want to show you the messy process.
But the book talks about this weird thing, the 5% mind. This isn't just him sitting in a dark room brooding, is it?
No, and this explains so much. This is the zoned-out husband on the couch trope. When he's in the cave, he might be reading the news or playing a video game or watching sports.
The book uses an example, a guy named Tom,
Right.
He comes home super stressed and just immediately puts on the football game.
Yes. And his partner is watching this thinking, he's ignoring me. He cares more about this game than our life. He's checked out. It looks like pure avoidance.
But it's not.
It's a coping mechanism. He's using what Gray calls his 5% mind to kind of, grunt and nod and pretend he's listening. But 95% of his brain is offline. But the game itself is strategic. It's about solving vicarious problems.
Vicarious problems? What does that even mean?
It means his own problems feel overwhelming and unsolvable at the moment. He can't fix his awful boss right now, but if his team's quarterback throws a touchdown pass...
A win.
A win. A small but potent hit of dopamine. A feeling of success. It lowers his stress level just enough so that his brain can reset, and he can eventually emerge from the cave, ready to tackle the real problem. The mindless activity is a pressure release valve.
So while Tom is in the cave, watching the game to get his competence fix, what's the big danger for his partner?
The danger is trying to enter the cave without an invitation. That's when the dragon inside wakes up.
Yeah.
A Venusian sees her partner withdrawn and quiet, and her instinct, based on her values of connection and nurturing, is to help. She thinks, he's hurting, I must go to him.
So she knocks on the metaphorical door of the cave.
She knocks. She asks, what's wrong? Is everything okay? Do you want to talk about it? Let me help.
I mean, that sounds like a caring, loving partner.
On Venus, it's the ultimate act of love. But on Mars, it's heard as an insult. To him, her questions translate to, I don't trust that you can handle this on your own. He feels managed, smothered, criticized. She thinks I'm incompetent. She sees me as a failure. And so what does he do? He goes deeper into the cave to protect himself.
So the more she pursues, the more he withdraws.
It's a vicious cycle. And eventually he gets cornered and he lashes out. I told you I'm fine, just leave me alone. And now everyone's hurt.
Okay, so let's flip it. How does a Venusian handle stress? Because she's not retreating into a cave.
The exact opposite. When a woman is stressed, her instinct is to seek connection, to talk.
To talk it out.
To talk it all out, not just the one big problem, everything. The awful traffic on the way home, the rude email from a coworker, the fact that the barista used almond milk instead of oat milk, the weird noise the car is making.
Like a data dump, a stream of consciousness to clear the system.
Exactly. But the goal is completely different, and this is the crucial part that Martians miss. She is not talking to get a solution.
So what is she looking for?
She's talking for emotional release and validation. She's trying to find order in the chaos of her feelings by externalizing them, by having them heard and understood. For her, the talking is the solution.
And this is where the wires get crossed. This is the friction point.
This is the moment of impact. She starts talking to feel better. He's listening, but he's listening with his Martian ears. He hears a list of problems. And because he is a problem solver,
he thinks she's asking for a list of solutions.
Or worse, he thinks she's blaming him for all these problems.
Right. So she says, "Ugh, this house is a complete disaster." Just to vent her feeling of being overwhelmed.
And he hears, you are a lazy slob and this mess is your fault. Fix it.
So he gets defensive. He feels attacked. And she feels completely unheard because instead of just saying, wow, that sounds really stressful, he interrupts her and says, well, I'll take the trash out after the game.
And then, feeling attacked and overwhelmed by her emotion, he retreats to his cave. And she feels totally abandoned because he walked away right when she needed to connect.
It's a perfect storm of misunderstanding, with both people having good intentions.
It's the selective amnesia in action.
This moves us perfectly into the next big idea, the communication archetypes. Mr. Fix-It and the Home Improvement Committee. These names alone are just brilliant.
They're a bit silly, but they are so recognizable. Let's start with Mr. Fix-It. This is the male archetype we were just talking about. When a woman expresses any kind of upset, she says, I had such a terrible day. My boss was so condescending.
Mr. Fix-It hears an alarm go off. He grabs his tool belt.
He does. He sees an emotional leak, and his only job is to plug it as quickly as possible, so he offers a solution. Immediately, he'll cut her off mid-sentence to say, you should just report him to HR, or why don't you just quit? Or the absolute worst one.
Let me guess. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. That phrase is relationship kryptonite.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks he's helping, right? He thinks, I'm going to lift this burden from her by making the problem smaller.
But what she hears is, your feelings are invalid. You're overreacting. This is a stupid thing to be upset about.
So she feels dismissed. She rejects his solution. She says, you don't get it. I can't just quit.
And now Mr. Fix. His feelings are hurt. He's crestfallen. He offered her his most valuable gift, a solution, a piece of his competence, and she batted it away. So he just shuts down. He stops listening. He thinks, fine, if you don't want my help, then why are you even telling me this?
He completely missed that the help she wanted was just for him to listen. He brought a fire extinguisher to a campfire.
A perfect analogy.
Okay, but it's not a one-way street.
Yeah.
Women have their own version of this.
Yes.
Let's talk about the Home Improvement Committee.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the female archetype. Because of Venusian's primary value is the relationship itself, she's always looking for ways to improve it, to nurture it, to help it grow, and by extension, that means helping her partner improve.
Which sounds a lot like unsolicited advice.
It is the definition of unsolicited advice. She'll offer helpful suggestions on how he could dress better, or a more efficient route to take to work, or a better way to handle a difficult conversation with his mother.
In her mind, she's being a supportive partner. I love you, and I'm helping you be your best self.
That's the intent. But how does that land on Mars?
Not, well, I'm guessing.
On Mars, you never, ever offer advice unless you are explicitly asked for it. To do so is to send a very clear message.
And that message is,
I don't trust you. I think you're incompetent. You can't handle this on your own, so let me take over.
ouch. So when she says, honey, maybe you should wear the blue shirt, it brings out your eyes, he's not hearing a compliment. He's hearing,
You're incapable of dressing yourself properly. It feels emasculating. It triggers that core Martian fear of not being good enough. So he gets defensive. I know how to pick a shirt. Stop trying to control me.
It's just amazing how the intention on both sides is love, but the impact is pure conflict.
It's the language barrier. And that brings us to another huge communication gap. Literal versus metaphorical speech.
This is the we never go out anymore argument, right? I feel like this is a universal experience.
Absolutely. Gray argues that women often use dramatic, absolute language words like never, always, everything, nothing, not as factual statements, but as a way to express the intensity of an emotion. It's poetic license.
So when she says, you never listen to me, she doesn't actually mean that in the entire history of the relationship, not one word has been audibly processed by him.
Exactly. She means right now, in this moment, I feel incredibly unheard and the feeling is overwhelming. But the man, the Martian, is a literal data processor.
He hears the word never, and his brain starts searching the archives for contradictory evidence.
He pulls out the metaphorical receipts. What are you talking about? We just went out for dinner last Tuesday. I listened to you talk about your coworker for 20 minutes yesterday. He argues the facts.
And in doing so, he completely invalidates the feeling.
He thinks if he can disprove her fact, she'll calm down. But she just gets more upset because he's not hearing her emotion. He's debating her reality. It becomes a fight between a poet and a spreadsheet.
They're not even in the same conversation.
You're not even close. The work for him is to learn to hear the emotion behind the dramatic word. To translate "we never go out" into its real meaning. I would love to go out with you soon.
There's also that really specific, almost surgical linguistic tip in the book about the difference between would and could.
This one is so subtle, but he claims it's incredibly powerful. Gray says that men have an almost allergic reaction to the word could.
Okay, give me the example.
A woman asks her partner, "Could you take out the trash?"
Sounds perfectly normal and polite to me.
To a Venusian, yes. But to a Martian, "Could you?" doesn't sound like a request. It sounds like a challenge to his ability. It's heard as, are you physically capable of lifting this bag and walking it to the curb?
It's questioning his competence.
And
Cardinal sin.
Exactly. It's the C word. It implies he might be too lazy or weak to do it.
Okay, so that's a landmine. What's the safe alternative?
Would you take out the trash?
Would you? It seems like such a tiny semantic difference.
But the psychology is different. Would implies choice and willingness. It's an invitation for him to be a hero. Could is a test of his ability. Would is a request for his service. When you say would you, he feels like he's choosing to do you a favor.
It empowers him.
It allows him to feel like a provider, a hero in a small moment.
Yes, I would be delighted to provide this trash removal service for you, my lady. It strokes the Martian ego.
That's fascinating. It reframes it from a chore into an opportunity.
And that's the key to Martian motivation.
So we've navigated stress and communication. Now for the deep stuff, the emotional physics of a relationship. Gray's big metaphors here are rubber bands and waves.
These are essential. They describe the natural cycles of intimacy. Let's start with men as rubber bands.
Men are like rubber bands, okay.
The idea is that men have a natural cycle of intimacy. They get close, then they pull away, and then they spring back.
Why do they pull away? Gray argues that when a man gets too close for too long, he starts to lose his sense of self. He feels engulfed. That Martian need for autonomy and independence gets smothered.
He loses his Martianness.
In a way, yes. His testosterone can actually drop. He needs to pull away to find his own boundaries again, to recharge his sense of self, to feel like an individual. It's an instinctive biological need.
But for his partner, this pulling away must feel terrifying.
Oh, it's panic-inducing. Because her instinct is for connection. When he withdraws, the rubber band stretching out, she thinks, he's leaving me. What did I do wrong? He doesn't love me anymore. So her immediate reaction is to chase him.
To try and close that distance.
Exactly. She runs after the stretching rubber band. But what happens when you do that?
You can't get any tension. It just stays slack.
Precisely. You can't shoot a rubber band if there's no tension. If she chases him, he never gets the space he needs to feel the pull to come back. He just has to keep moving further away to try and create that space. It becomes a pursuer-distancer dance.
So the advice, as counterintuitive as it feels, is just let him go.
Let him stretch. Trust the process. If you give him the space, he will eventually hit the limit of his stretch, and that tension will naturally, powerfully snap him back. And when he comes back, he'll be full of love and energy because he's had the space to miss you and desire closeness again.
That requires a huge amount of trust and emotional security.
It's one of the hardest things to do, but understanding it's a natural cycle, not a personal rejection, makes it easier. You can tell yourself, okay, he's just stretching, he'll be back.
All right, so that's the rubber band. Now for women, the wave.
A woman's sense of self-worth and emotional well-being is like a wave. It rises to a peak, and then it inevitably crashes down.
When it's rising, she's feeling great, capable, giving.
She's superwoman, she's loving, she's taking care of everything and everyone, but you can't stay at the peak of a wave forever. It has to crash.
And it crashes down into what he calls the well.
Down into the well. This is a time when she might feel overwhelmed, empty, insecure, sad. He describes it as a time for emotional house cleaning. She needs to go down into that darker space to feel and process all the emotions she might have been suppressing while she was up at the peak, being everything to everyone.
It's a cleansing cycle.
Yes. But how do you think the average Martian reacts to seeing his partner's wave start to crash?
He probably panics and thinks he broke her.
Exactly. His first thought is, what did I do wrong? And his second thought is, how do I fix this immediately? He tries to fix the wave. He tries to pull her out of the well.
He says things like, cheer up, or it's not that bad.
Why are you so upset? He's essentially trying to stop a force of nature, and you can't stop a wave from crashing. You just get tumbled around and hurt.
And it probably makes it worse.
It prolongs the crash. By not allowing her to go down, he prevents her from coming back up. The solution is not to fix her, it's to be with her. She needs his unconditional presence. He needs him to metaphorically sit at the edge of the well and just listen, to say, I'm here, I'm not going anywhere, it's okay to feel this way.
To just be a stable rock while the wave does its thing.
Exactly. Because when she hits the bottom, when she feels fully heard and validated, she will naturally start to rise again. And she'll often come back up even more loving and radiant than before.
You know, it's interesting to think about this in a modern context. Some critics say this rubber band theory is just, an excuse for avoidant attachment behavior.
That is a very common and valid critique. That Gray is basically normalizing emotionally unavailable behavior. But his framing, at least, is that it's biological. There is some research that suggests men's testosterone levels are regulated by cycles of autonomy and connection, that constant nurturing can lower it, and cave time can restore it.
So it's not just emotional, it's hormonal.
That's the argument. And whether it's true or not, thinking of it that way can help a partner not take the withdrawal so personally. It shifts it from, he's rejecting me, to he's recharging.
Okay, let's talk about the math. The scoreboard. This feels like it's at the heart of so many day-to-day resentments. The I do everything around here fight.
The scoring system discrepancy. This is one of the most practical and eye-opening parts of the book. Men and women are playing the same game but using completely different rule books for how to score points.
Okay, break down the math for me. Men's math first.
Men's math is weighted. They believe that big gestures are worth more points, a lot more points. If a man works overtime for 3 months to save up for a family vacation, in his mind, that's like a 50-point play.
A grand slam. He thinks he's won the game for the month.
Or the year. He thinks he can coast on that. He thinks, I just scored 50 points by paying the mortgage, so I don't have to worry about the 1-point play of taking out the trash. He's banked a huge amount of credit.
But that's not how women's math works.
Not at all. Women's math is simple. Every single act of love, no matter how big or small, is worth exactly 1 point.
1 point. Always.
Always. This is what drives men nuts. Buying her a new car, 1 point. Bringing her a cup of coffee in bed, 1 point. Planning a surprise trip to Paris, 1 point. Remembering to pick up the dry cleaning without being asked, 1 point.
Oh, wow. I can see the problem loud and clear now.
It's a huge disconnect. He's killing himself to score that 50-point touchdown at work. He comes home, exhausted, expecting a parade because he's provided. But she feels completely unloved because he hasn't done any of the 10 different 1-point things she needed that day.
So in his mind, his score is 50. In her mind, his score might be 0.
Or even negative. This is the penalty of neglect he talks about. If he's not doing the little things, his score isn't just staying at 0, it's going down. Because to her, the absence of small gestures signals a lack of care.
This explains that classic fight. The man says, but I bought you a diamond necklace last month. And she replies, but you haven't given me a hug all week.
And he thinks she's being completely irrational. How can a hug be as important as a diamond? But to her, they're both 1 point. The big takeaway for men here is that small, consistent efforts are way more valuable than infrequent grand gestures. 50 1-point plays are better than one 50-point play.
That's a revolutionary idea for a lot of people. It's about frequency, not magnitude.
It's the highest yield investment in a relationship, and it ties directly into their different core emotional needs.
Okay, Gray lists 6 primary needs for each. Let's run through them.
For men, the 6 primary needs are trust, acceptance, appreciation, admiration, approval, and encouragement.
There's a very clear theme there.
It's all about his competence. I trust you to handle this. I admire your skills. I approve of what you're doing. He needs to feel like a winner in her eyes.
And for women.
The 6 needs are care, understanding, respect, devotion, validation, and reassurance.
And that theme is all about connection and security. I care about your feelings. I'm devoted to you. I'm here for you.
And the fundamental mistake we all make is giving what we want to receive, not what our partner needs to receive.
It's the golden rule gone wrong.
Completely. A man wanting trust and acceptance gives his partner space when she's upset, but that makes her feel a lack of care. A woman wanting care and understanding gives her partner constant questions and help, but that makes him feel a lack of trust and approval.
We're giving each other gifts in the wrong language.
And then we get angry when they don't appreciate them.
So I have to ask the big question. This book is from the early 90s. The world is a very different place. Is this all just outdated? Is it gender essentialism that doesn't really apply anymore?
That's the #1 critique, and it's a fair one. Critics say these traits are a spectrum, not a binary. And that's true. There are men who are talkers and women who need a cave. The book can feel very heteronormative and at times stuck in a 90s view of household roles. But, and this is a big but, even if you throw out the gendered labels of Mars and Venus, the patterns he describes are timeless. The pursuer-distancer dynamic, that's a core concept in every form of couples therapy today.
So you see these same dynamics play out regardless of gender orientation. One partner tends to be the rubber band, and one tends to be the wave.
Often, yes. The roles can be fluid, but the underlying physics of one partner seeking autonomy under stress and the other seeking connection is a very, very common human dynamic.
And it's interesting, I read that John Gray's background isn't in traditional psychology. He was a celibate monk for 9 years.
Yes. With the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the same guru the Beatles followed, he spent almost a decade in what you could call a spiritual cave before he ever wrote about the psychological man cave.
So that must inform his perspective. But has he updated his work for the modern era?
He has. He's talked about how modern life has intensified some of these dynamics. His updated take on the wave is fascinating.
What's the new take?
He suggests that because so many women now spend all day at work in high-pressure jobs, they are forced to operate in their male side, their Martian side, all day. They have to be efficient, results-oriented, problem-solving.
They're wearing the Mr. Fix-It hat from 9 to 5.
Right. So they're using up all that focused analytical energy. When they get home, they're completely burned out and have had zero time or space to be in their female or Venusian side, the side that processes through feeling and connection. This leads to massive burnout and, he argues, a lot of intimacy problems because it's hard to switch from CEO mode back to vulnerable partner mode.
So the demands of the modern world have almost stranded women on Mars, in a way.
That's a great way to put it. And it means it's more important than ever for their partners to understand this and create a safe harbor for that wave to finally crash.
So when we synthesize all of this, what's the big takeaway for someone listening right now who might be feeling that frustration we talked about at the beginning?
I think the key is that the book isn't meant to be a rigid set of rules that you use to pigeonhole your partner. It's a tool for empathy.
To see their behavior not as a personal attack, but as their own unique survival strategy.
Exactly. When he retreats to the cave, he's not abandoning you. He's trying to find his competence so he can come back to you whole. When her wave crashes, she's not attacking you. She's cleansing her emotions so she can feel close to you again.
It's about translating the behavior instead of just reacting to it.
And the final piece of wisdom from the book that I think is the most important is the 90-10 rule.
What's the 90-10 rule?
You are responsible for 90% of your own happiness. Your partner, at best, can be the 10% bonus. If you go into a relationship expecting your partner to fill a 90% hole in your life, you'll crush them under that weight, and you'll always be disappointed.
You have to be a whole planet first before you can have a healthy interplanetary relationship.
It's the only way it works.
So here's a final thought to leave everyone with. If we accept this premise, that men and women, or any two partners, can be as different as if they're from separate planets, does our modern goal of equality mean we have to pretend we're all the same? Or could true equality actually mean having profound respect for the fact that we are fundamentally beautifully different?
That is the ultimate question, isn't it? Maybe equality isn't about being identical, but about assigning equal value to our differences.
Something to think on. This was it on today's Book Guys. And folks, kindly subscribe and follow us for more such insights on various books. And also, do not forget to join our social media community to stay in touch and get updated.